I think it's right to compare and contrast the Principia with the Bible, because that would have made perfect sense to Isaac Newton. This is a man who more than once confused himself with God. And it's no coincidence that the rules of reasoning in natural philosophy that are set forth in the Principia clearly resemble, in very detailed ways, the rules that Newton set forth for interpreting scripture, especially prophetic scripture. Newton is absolutely convinced that there are two books, one creation, the other scripture. And the Principia's relation with creation, I think, is very fascinatingly canonical, if not scriptural. It has the quality of revelation, and the historical sociology of the relationship between Newton, the Principia, and his divulgation of its true meaning and its true implications to his disciples is very suggestive in that way. So the idea that a complete, exhaustive, and universal account of God's purposes as set forth in creation is available to us is clearly Newtonian. And the idea that the Principia is a massive advance towards that is clearly Newtonian too. And several of Newton's disciples say that. They say from the 1690s onwards that this is a prophetic text. Not in the sense that it foresees, but that in the sense that it's been foreseen. That it's a revelation. It's self-prophesied. Perhaps even, according to some of them, a sign that we are living in the end times. All that is absolutely in play from the 1690s onwards. And in perhaps surprising places as well as striking ways. So not just the most millenarian of Newton's disciples, but also many of his broad church admirers too. On the other hand, the incompletion of natural philosophy by the Principia is at least as striking, so that there are respondents to and commentators on the Newtonian corpus who are very clear that the Principia is restrictive and in many ways incomplete. And incomplete in at least these two senses. First of all, explanatorily, and this is notorious. Many of his most expert readers are very clear that this is a superb mathematical account of creation and not a natural philosophy at all, because it gives no causal account of the principles it uses to describe the world, notably gravitation. In that sense, it's woefully incomplete, they say. And on the other hand, there are many loyal Newtonian commentators for whom the power and force, literally, of the Newtonian project lies not with the Principia, but with the vast array of phenomena, experiments, and philosophical themes that lie out with or beyond its ambit. In chemistry, in electricity, magnetism, in meteorology, in vegetation, in the principles of life, in anatomy, in physiology, and so on. Right? This is why one's so struck by that very characteristic kind of two-edged Enlightenment interest in writing the Principia for the particular field with which one is concerned. Moral philosophy, vegetation, animal economy, medicine, and so on. History, indeed. Christian theology, John Craig's magnificent The Mathematical Principles of Christian Theology, which comes out very soon after the Principia. So there's that motif, clearly, that if the Principia has completed the work in one area of human knowledge, we ought to be able to do it in others. And at the same time, a very widespread recognition that even within the areas of its own alleged competence, the Principia needs enormous supplements.